All right. Well, I remember stuff now. Good stuff.
Actually, I'm shocked there's one feud you didn't mention, but that's for number
I'm
three.
going to talk about that.
That's for number 3. All right, number 5, I'll absolutely stay with the Ground Zero versus Influx. It was a good feud. It was short-lived, and it was a standalone story. It could have been a lot better if you know what? It was something small. It was a very small feud, very self-contained. And while those are the things that kind of held it back from being higher on the list, at the same time, those are the things that put it on the list in the first place. That for something so small and self-contained, it worked perfectly. It worked out well, and it really just began and ended within itself in a very satisfying manner. All right. Now, number 4 would definitely be Rhydon versus Black Dragon. That's a great feud. Matching styles, their body types work very well together. They could both.
Year 2008.
They could both probably have done all of their moves on each other, which is very important. Like, it's really hard having, like, for example, an X-Pac versus an Undertaker, because, you know, unless you're going to do all of the high-flying, light little guy moves and not try for a single lift, your moveset might be very stifled in that kind of a situation. So their movesets weren't stifled by each other at all. It's good that they were actually both big guys. And you know what? They both have good ring chemistry together. They have a very similar dominance in the ring, so there was never a one-sidedness or an underdog. It was just a clash of titans that everyone wanted to see.
I'm in the greatest shape of my life. 300 brolic nigga.
What I'm about to do, I'm sure nobody expected. But that's what I do.
And in the opposite corner, the undefeated, undisputed RCW heavyweight champion of the world.
Your favorite enemy. I didn't want it this way.
Lose the mask.
As our worlds collide tonight.
Rhydon don't need that mask. He don't need that coat. We got him all! Spine Buster! Remember the Iron Man match? Whoa! Oh! Spine Buster! Huge Spine Buster! That's it! 1, 2, come on! For the love of God! Dragon suplex! Oh! What the hell? Oh! Something neck breaker! Oh! Moonsault! Oh my God! Let it be over! Come on! God no! Oh God no! Oh D&D! Oh no! Oh no! 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 Oh! Are you kidding me? You've got to be kidding me!
Always hover over me. I've got a new obsession.
Oh no! 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 Dragon! Oh my God! Oh! 360! Hero! Up and over! It's done! 1, 2, 3! Rhydon! Rhydon! Rhydon has done it! Black Dragon is done!
Oh! Still some animosity here.
Well done.
Number 3 on.
Can we clip to me being unprofessional? Because this doesn't have much. I just remember what match was that? Was that the reunion show? Where Marcus botched and died, and then me and Rhydon wasn't supposed to fight each other.
Yeah.
But then we had to fight each other. But we were only supposed to fight each other until Marcus got better. And then I looked and saw Marcus sitting down watching us fight. So I did the
This is great.
Fuck you, Vicky. Please just clip to that.
Sure.
That pissed me off.
Not to mention all we've seen here in these gang rules matches.
Where the fuck is Vicky?
I love that one.
We're not supposed to fight each other. That's the whole point of this. We did tag so that we wouldn't fight each other, and then Marcus made us fight each other. And I'm like, well, damn, Marcus took a long time. And he's sitting there, Indian style, looking at the match.
I'm an Indian. So number 3, I gotta hear about this.
My number 3, all right, and I'm surprised no one's mentioned it, is actually myself versus Avalanche. That was actually a great feud.
We talked about a lot in the hardcore thing.
Well, yeah, we did, but still, it is a great feud, and we had a title revolve entirely around that feud because it was such a centerpiece at one point. Because it was part of the bigger feud with Dark Force and the bigger uprising against them, and it was absolutely the heart of the hardcore division. And we had some brutal and very well planned out matches. I mean, it has all the criteria for a great feud in it.
That's the sound when the rock hits. Oh, never know I might let go. Get ready, get set. That's the sound when the rock hits. That's the sound when the rock hits. That's the sound when the rock hits. Makes the sound when the rock hits. If you're feeling it when I drop this.
Avalanche was what brought the Dark Force feud into play. It all started with my feud with Avalanche. So that led... That feud is responsible for an entire year of BWA storyline. I mean, that's a very important feud. Not even the Valdez out right now.
It was the best. I have to say, I hate to say it, I am the best.
Alright, now I'm going to give here an honorable mention to Bravado versus Havoc, because I don't want Bravado on the list 3 fucking times. I'm sorry. You get enough credit.
That happens a lot.
And then, but what about the next one where it's going to be Bravado?
I know. There's going to be 2 Bravados on here if I'm going to ruin it. But I'm not going to officially be like, well, we got Bravado.
Sorry.
You already are the show.
I had a Valdez moment.
That's why I triangle it.
So I would like to give an honorable mention to Bravado versus Havoc. You know what? There's no surprise that they work well. They have great chemistry as partners in the ring. They have great chemistry as friends. They've had great chemistry working together in any and every angle. It's just a pair made in heaven. Bravado and Havoc work together. Period. No matter what the role, as adversaries, as partners, it's always a good pairing. You can't go wrong. All right. Now, my number 2 for this list, we will have Mazzato versus Bravado versus anything else that ends in an O. No, but really, this is...
Entourage!
This is the longest running feud ever... Well, alright. Charles's Ego vs. Reality is the longest running feud in BWA history. But this comes to a damn close second.
Yo, why ain't I on the list?
Alright? Mazzato versus Bravado is... because you wanted every match to be a squash match. That's why.
I can't lose.
So now...
Don't be rolling.
Again, one of the longest going feuds, and that's actually not only is a point of greatness for it, but it's the source of this feud's strength. You guys have been working together for so long, working together to formulate. Like, you've always been a part of the executive decisions of the BWA, and so have you. Between you guys creating the shows together, getting the talent, training the talent, helping them build robust movesets, building your own robust movesets, there's no reason that anything you guys do together wouldn't be in sync. You guys have been in sync with each other for 14 years.
My problem is that at the beginning of the year, I submit a checklist to James that says I agree to everything James decides.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, I lose to Marcus at the end of the year?
You beat Marcus at the end of the year.
But
Oh wait, that was the other year.
again,
What are you talking about?
Mazzato versus
Why do I agree to these things?
Bravado. Same reasons as Bravado versus Havoc, but times 10. Because you guys have even longer working with each other.
The lose to
And the matches always wind up clean. You know each other's movesets. Hell, you two probably you two probably had input on each other's movesets at one point anyway. So I mean,
Nick would never tell me something cool to do. Body
here's
count,
something
come
all
on.
you can do. Take this body count. All right. Now, my number 1 would also have to be Jose Valdez versus Bravado.
And Valdez wasn't here for this.
All right, look, there was. I normally don't give Valdez as much credit ever, but
He isn't here, so this is better now.
no, I would like him to be here, so it's not always like, man, shut the fuck up, Kanye West. But no, really, you know what? You guys both have great charisma. Again, body type isn't an issue. You and Valdez are two of the smaller guys in the BWA. And if one of you was one of the bigger people on the pairing, a lot of your moves you wouldn't be able to do to each other. So physically, you guys can do all of your moves to each other. There's no workarounds. Your styles work together very well because you do kind of like a technical power move set. Valdez has more of a technical high-flying move set. So you guys are actually have a very similar body type, similar charisma, similar attitude in the ring without your movesets being identical. So there's still a variance to it, and there's still an excitement about seeing two very different styles clash. And I think that, and of course it was a top card act. I mean, it was the Pride title was revolved around it.
Joey Steve said Styles clash.
All right, but it's no, really. This is what wrestling is all about. Taking two guys, having two complete movesets that both people can do to each other to their fullest, to excellence. Two charismatic guys who can cut a promo, who can have a realistic feud, who can actually draw in the audience. It's interesting to watch. It's fun. There's talent everywhere. I can't go on enough about how great this pairing is. Because you both bring out the best in each other.
Valdez would agree. John, I like Armageddon. All right, next. All right, so that concludes Steve.
I like my feud with the two cheese.
Let's go to me.
I want to give an honorable mention to the Axis. No.
Actually, Chaos versus
No, I
Masato.
was upset that Marcus and Pitch Black had so much chemistry though as a tag team. Because
No worry, they botched almost all the finishes.
but they had a couple of double
Yeah.
teams that were like
No. They had some really great stuff. But it was very hard to put a whole match together with them because they would blow the
Because it
finish.
was because they have such good stuff, and then the finish would be like,
Number 5 is not the Axis of Chaos. Number 5, I give to Psycho versus Tyrant.
See,
I give it to Psycho
Psycho.
versus Tyrant for the same reason that you were talking about Psycho versus DFR.
right.
I'm gonna use it as my example, which will be a recurring theme in my picks. Psycho's story with Tyrant culminates with him winning the world title. But despite what happens after, you have ultimately Psycho's struggle against Dark Force, trying to get Sabotage and losing with Sabotage. Ultimately teams with Aerial Strike and 9/11 against Dark Force throughout the year. Then the following year, subbing in for different partners to face off against them. But it helps to tell the story of the year, right? And any story that helps to define a year is going to count. My list. Then we move on. As I said before, you have stories which depend on each other and ultimately intermingle and create a single story. So my number 4 and my number 3 are going to take the same slot. You're going to have Dragon and Rhydon and Armageddon Inc. versus
Those guys.
versus
Dark Force Rising.
No,
No?
Ground Zero.
Ground Zero.
Oh, Ground Zero.
Yeah, right.
And the idea
Oh.
is that
You call them Armageddon Inc. too?
well,
Oh, yeah.
because you see ultimately their story goes from them being adversaries to them being allies against us,
No.
right? And it can also tie into my number 2, which is Masato Bravado. Our story ends there as Ground Zero,
Right.
as far as BWA is concerned,
Right.
right? Because then we don't ever stop doing that.
Right.
So the idea is that all 3 of those stories from different years, which are defining, James and I defines the entire span of it, as we were saying, a feud that lasted the entire time, ultimately ties into the end of your guys' story where you end up working together and facing us and ultimately facing off exhibition style, like James and I do now. And then you have the same thing happening with the Ground Zero Armageddon Inc. story, ultimately tying it together that at the end of the year everybody's coming together to
fight,
face off, and then the culmination of the experience of that ends with the following year you guys having your single story after basically having the success against us. So I think in all three aspects you get to see different ways that feuds are developed and represented, right? James and I have a feud that isn't very promo heavy. It's more wrestling heavy with match diversity, right? But then, like, when you do the Ground Zero feud, you have a lot of promos, and you also have a lot of work that's good work. But it's also representative of the time in which it takes place. Like, you can't expect us to not learn from the things we've already done.
And then you have me and Ryan who we bumped into each other.
Yeah, but it ends up telling the story.
Yeah, sure.
Give me a ref.
There's 2 black
Give me a ref right now.
Oh, this could either be very good or very documentary. We're going to find out.
The entire years where we have our ascension and we all become better and good and do things better and become impressive and able to compete professionally. The idea is that over that period of time is where you develop and become who you are. So I think it's important to the BWA and to your individual story. So I'll combine all three of those numbers in a 4-3-2 combo where they all intertwine and talk about each other. My number one is Bravado versus Havoc.
Yep.
And I think so because it tells a better story in and of itself than me versus James. And there's more character development and more characters involved. Like, you have each of them taking on 3 different personas for that. Like Aerial Strike Gun Show Havoc versus Gun Show Havoc versus Redeemed Havoc, right? And then you have Bravado versus Gun Show Bravado versus Ground Zero Bravado.
I will prove that I am better than you. I will prove it 2 out of 3 falls. The extent that I will go to be the last Attitude Champion, you cannot fathom.
Wash away all that couldn't be. Everyone will be washed away, drowning in the hell that we made. I cannot believe that our end is so near.
And like, you could see the transitioning of these characters. Like, whereas I don't think there's not a huge like you have my character versus Dark Force Rising. My character who just kicks people more. And then you go back to my character who now has decided he doesn't want to kick people as much, but also doesn't want to jump off stuff as much. So it's like. But
Side note, I just realized because this is the lighter promo was for you and Havoc. Right?
Yes, that's right. Y'all should have won again.
No, I was going to steal that, but now you work for us. That promo.
We can steal BWA stuff. That's kind of what we're going to have to do.
Copyrighted by you. Use my own patent on me. Anyway, I think that that more tells the story of the BWA than any other feud, which is why I choose it as
I
my
agree. I definitely agree.
We all like everything for the same reasons.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought this was going to be diverse too.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, everyone's going to like different shit. Nope.
No.
That's all the time we have, guys. Thank you very much. Enjoy the holidays. Buy this stuff. Come to NGW. Buy some DVDs. Thank you very much. Episode 12 will be in 2016. And you again will get to pick the topic. That's all the time we have. Goodbye.
It's the fire.